Donald Trump cabinet pick for Secretary of Defense, much maligned Pete Hegseth, and deservedly so, is in his confirmation hearings right now. And he is getting absolutely destroyed. And I'm going to show you that breaking story in just a few seconds, because the breaking part of it is the question he gets asked by a double amputee veteran, and he can't answer one of the most basic questions he would need to know. But I'm going to show you that to you in just a few seconds. But leading up to it, watch what happens to him throughout this hearing, getting hammered with simple stuff he refuses to answer. Take a look.
I want you to be able to tell me what kind of guidance will be given to those employees, what will happen if, whether or not you pass that audit. Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Senator, in both of the organizations I ran, we were always completely fiscally responsible.
Yes or no? Did you lead an audit?
And the way
yes
my
or no?
did
you lead an audit? Yes or no? What are you afraid of? You can't answer this question. Yes or no? Did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator,
yes
every part of my leadership of these organizations has been misrepresented.
I will take that as a no.
You needed to be carried out of the event for being intoxicated.
Senator, anonymous smears.
Just true or false? Very simple. Summer of 2014 in Cleveland, drunk in public with the CVA team.
Anonymous smears.
I'm just asking for true or false questions, true or false answers. An event in North Carolina, drunk in front of 3 young female staff members after you had instituted a no alcohol policy and then reversed it. True or false?
Anonymous smears.
December of 2014 at the CVA Christmas party at the Grand Hyatt at Washington, D.C., you were noticeably intoxicated and had to be carried up to your room. Is that true or false?
Anonymous smears.
You say you've had personal issues in your past, yet when asked about those very issues, you blame an anonymous smear campaign, even when many of these claims are not anonymous. Which is it? Have you overcome personal issues? Or are you the target of a smear campaign? It can't be both. It's clear to me that you're not being honest with us or the American people, because you know the truth would disqualify you from getting the job. What concerns me just as much is the idea of having a Secretary of Defense who is not transparent.
Senator.
Sure. What is the highest level of international security agreement that you have led? And can you name some that the Secretary of Defense would lead? There's 3 main ones. Do you know?
I have not been involved in international security arrangements because I have not been in government other than serving in the military. So my job has been to
So no, the answer is, can you name one of the 3 main ones that the Secretary of Defense signs?
Talking about defense arrangements, I mean, NATO might be one that you're referring to.
Status of Forces Agreement would be one of them.
Status of Forces Agreement. I've been a part of teaching about Status of Forces Agreements.
But you don't remember to mention it? You're not qualified, Mr. Hegseth.
The guy was Senator Gabby Gifford's husband from Arizona, but the woman is a double amputee veteran, Tammy Duckworth. And she asked Pete Hegseth the most basic question to become the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, and he literally cannot answer it. Here is the story right now.
You're not qualified. You talk about not qualified to that. You could do acquisition and cross-servicing agreements, which essentially are security agreements. You can't even mention that. You've done none of those. You talked about the Indo-Pacific a little bit, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of nations in that, but I know we have allies in South Korea and Japan and in AUKUS with Australia, trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr. Hegseth, none of those countries are in ASEAN. None of those 3 countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations. Listen,
I'm sorry. I'm not up for the Secretary of Defense, okay? I don't have to know what the ASEAN group of countries is, Association of Southeastern Asian Nations, that includes such, weird remote places like Thailand, Malaysia, Laos, Vietnam, and a handful of others, Brunei and such. But the point being is that if you're up for the Secretary of Defense and you espouse all of this genius and how deserved you are to be in this position for the veteran you were, are you kidding me that you don't even know some of the basic questions he just got asked, much less who the ASEAN countries are? That, I don't even know if that's freshman level stuff using a high school analogy. That might be 5th or 6th grade stuff. Again, setting aside the fact that if you want to be the Secretary of Defense, I prefer somebody who has more like a PhD or a doctorate analogy to intelligence about the globe and the United States of America's military impact on the globe along with our setup. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And yet, I can almost bet you that this clown, literal veteran clown as it relates to this position, is still going to get confirmed. And that's why, folks, elections matter. They're still going to follow Daddy Donald Trump. And the people I feel sorry for at this point is every single military personnel who could potentially be in real active duty harm's way in the next 4 years if this jackhole is the Secretary of Defense. Stay smart, try to stay calm, talk to people you both agree and disagree with, but always stay frosty.